we will go ahead and get started with the April Planning Commission meeting. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Sholay, Moyer,
Present.
Knack,
Here.
Carmen, McCaffrey, Whitehouse,
Here.
Sarter.
Here. Any additions or deletions from the agenda, Mr. Byrd?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. We had a couple of our planning commissioners notify staff that they had some personal matters they had to attend to and weren't able to be at the meeting tonight. One of the items, it's not an action item, it's a work session item that we had scheduled for subdivision plat procedures review. I would recommend removing that item from the agenda and scheduling that for a future meeting when all of our members can be in attendance.
I concur. Anybody disagree? Okay, we'll go ahead and strike item number 9 from the agenda tonight then. Thank you, Mr. Byrd.
Thank you, Chairman.
Anyone here to speak on any non-agenda items? Okay, can I have a motion to approve the minutes from, we'll do them separately from the meeting from February?
I move to approve the minutes of the February 5th, 2024 meeting.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Moyer,
Yes.
Knack,
Yes.
Whitehouse,
Yes.
Sarter.
Yes. And also a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the March meeting.
I could make that motion. Approved minutes for March meeting.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Moyer,
Yes.
Knack,
Yes.
Whitehouse,
Yes.
Sarter.
Yes. Okay, doesn't sound like there's any action items for tonight, so nothing for line item number 6.
That's correct, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Byrd. So we'll go into the communications. I think staff just has a quick presentation on the the building permit summaries that we've been doing every quarter. So,
Yeah, and thank you, Chairman. I don't think that there's a lot on this quarterly report that will be a surprise to the planning commissioners. It's a format that you've seen in the past, and this is for January through the end of March of 2024. You can see the numbers are lower than they have been in the past. We did issue 3 new residential permits in Sage Meadows' second subdivision, which has been under construction throughout a portion of last year and has wrapped up, and we're now ready to issue those permits. So we expect that trend in Sage Meadows' second subdivision to continue here at a modest rate. And we'll expect to see those permits, probably about 30 of them in this year is what we projected. It might be worth pointing out on page, oh, I'm sorry, the page numbers aren't numbered. The sheet that has the three bar charts on them that have the total residential units at the bottom. Something we've talked about a while ago but haven't covered again recently is the projected numbers. Several years ago, the town had done a modeling exercise looking at the expected number of permits that the town would likely issue in a normal year. And then we had to, a couple of years ago, due to capacity constraints at our water and treatment plant and wastewater treatment plant, we lowered those to about 100 permits per year annually for 4 years. Over that 4-year period, we have historically been under the 100 permits that we expected to issue. And so we do expect that at some point in the future, we will return back to around 200 permits per year, which was our original projection, knowing that some years will be high and some years will be low, but that average as we kind of come out of this restriction on permits and the market, we expect to see some years where we go over 200 and we expect some years to see where we'll go under 200, but that trend line average is what we projected, knowing that there'd be some variations. So just kind of, I thought it'd be useful to cover that to kind of frame future expectations as well as what our current permit status is doing. The last I would highlight the next page there. It's page 11 in the PDF. I'm sorry, I know the pages aren't numbered on your sheets. But the subdivisions that have, units by unit count, we did update this to include a couple of changes. Saddleback subdivision was recently replatted from 153 lots to 205 lots. So that increased the inventory a little bit there with that change. Sage Meadows second subdivision now has infrastructure and we're issuing permits there, so you can see that the available buildable lots has increased a little bit below the low that we reached at the end of last year. And you'll also see reflected on here, Sage Farms annexation was annexed into the town, so we've included that. And I've started to break this out into some estimated number of units by phase. Those are not hard and fast numbers. Those are based on average densities for what we project would be phase one, or I could label them 1A, 1B, 1C, not knowing exactly how the developer is going to proceed with filings, but wanting to put some numbers in there to kind of help break this out for ease of reading. So we'll continue to refine that as we get more information. But those are the substantive changes in Sage Meadows second, Saddleback, and Sage Farms annexation. Be happy to answer any questions regarding the report. Commercial numbers didn't change. We haven't seen any dramatic changes on the commercial front in terms of lot availability.
Mr. Byrd, I did have a question regarding the projection, that the table, the page with 3 charts in it. It says currently 2024, 3 lots or 3 permits have been issued for single family residential. Then it jumps up to 183. Question is, with the interest rates being what they are, how did you determine that it would increase, in my mind, very dramatically? Is that just, I was just curious.
Yeah, that's part of why I was trying to explain those projections haven't changed for a number of years. It was based on where the town expected any given normal year would be around 200 permits per year. And we've obviously had several years where the town had to consciously lower the number of permits to address capacity issues. And then even below that, we had lower numbers based on market conditions and lot availability is another factor. So that those projected numbers were the original projections for our modeling exercises for overall town growth, treatment plant capacity, and expected market conditions in a growing Front Range community. We don't expect that we're going to hit 183 exactly in those years. Those are really more projecting a trend line analysis, line of best fit over a longer period of time. So we do expect over a 10-year period, we're still going to be in that ballpark in terms of overall numbers, knowing that some years will be higher and some years will be lower.
Okay, thank you.
I think it just, to clarify a little, it reads a little misconstrued because the 3 is current. It's not a projection. 3 is not the projection for 2024. That's an actual current for 2024 year to date.
That's correct.
And then everything prior to 2024 is actual. So you're getting 3 different data sets on that same chart. You're getting actual YTD and then projected for the future years, 2025 and beyond.
That's a good point.
That makes
Thank you.
sense.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. And yeah, we didn't change the color scheme or
No,
labels. So yeah, but Chairman Starter nailed it. You're seeing actual data up to date, except for future years or projections.
that makes
Yeah,
sense.
that's a great distinction.
Yeah, sorry for that confusion.
It's only on my part. I do have a question. I heard that in the second phase of Sage Meadows, they ran into a spring or some groundwater. Is that, I don't know if that's true or not, or whether it's been resolved.
There were some construction level activities that need to be addressed as a follow-up, and the developer has a path in place in front of them for how to correct those issues. So we don't expect it's going to result in any long-lasting effects. They will have to do a few, I'll call them corrections. I think they were anticipated, but they need to follow through on them. But it's nothing significant that they can't resolve. I think they're just working through state approvals to get that accepted and move on.
Okay.
So we do expect to see a little bit more earthwork moving over there in terms of bringing in some additional fill and placement and compaction, but that's going to be an expected activity to see in the coming weeks, a little more dirt moving.
Well, I'm glad to hear that the Sage Meadows second is now open, because someone asked me and I said, well, there's only 5 currently, as far as I know, which was last month. Those 5 residential lots were only 5 that were permit ready. So that's good to see.
Agreed.
Anybody have anything else on the lots and permits? No? Say, if you're gonna ask questions, today's the meeting for it. Okay, any other communications to follow up that on?
The other communication I would make, is, probably kind of a request. The direction that staff received on scheduling work sessions, from a couple months ago was to proceed in a manner that if there was a light agenda, that it would be useful to schedule work sessions on identified topics. And what we've seen in the last couple of months is, I know that there's been some challenges with personal issues and, family matters to attend to. I would also pose the question that if we're not able to get to those work sessions due to attendance, is that still the direction that the planning commission would want to go? Recognizing there's others here that might have an opinion as well. But what I might recommend is if there are no action items other than minutes, if there's not an application or development or some pressing matter, maybe it'd be more useful to cancel those meetings and schedule those work sessions at the 5:30 time slot on regular agendas that actually have action items. That way we're not creating the need for people to come in and attend a meeting when the only thing to do is a work session. So that was kind of an observation and a question. I know others had some other, family matters that they had to attend to also, and there's no foreseeing those circumstances. But if we wanted to modify the direction for staff to not schedule work sessions if there's no other items on the agenda, we would consider that as a possibility.
I do like that idea better. I like to get that work session started earlier in the evening than afterwards. And, if we are running late, the good thing is that we do have it on recording too, since we're doing a work session. But I think hopefully we could be here if we have agenda items. So I like that. So we're not here super late.
I agree.
Can Eric bring chili?
No. I'm like Cody, I'm not gonna bring anything if there's only gonna be 4 of us here.
The other approach we could take is if you're not in attendance, then you're responsible for bringing food for the next meeting.
I like that too.
We're backed up 2 work sessions now where you have presentations that could be given. We just haven't done them yet because of attendance.
Well, we have,
So you've got,
yeah, we've only got the one prepared. It was on the meeting last agenda. We just moved it forward. So
okay.
that work
this
was already, it's,
Neighborhood plat is still the only one we're
yeah,
behind on.
that's,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, there's other topics that were identified, but staff has not put the materials together for presentations based on this was identified as the next one.
Right. That's my opinion. I just don't want, I don't want staff to spend any time on presentations too far in advance when it seems like we're not gonna be able to get to them. If you're able to forecast into May and June, are we looking at some action items here? Or are we gonna have a three-peat of no action items and potentially just a work session for May?
Well, maybe your crystal ball is clearer than mine, but at this point, we don't have any applications that look likely to be needing action at the May meeting. I won't, excuse me, I won't speak for June just yet because there's still time for applications that are in review to be ready for June, but I don't believe that there will be one for May.
Is it easier to cancel it in advance as opposed to showing up, a day or 2 days before when we typically get the notice that commissioners won't be
Yeah.
able to attend?
It is, and that's one of the reasons why, if that were the desire, it is certainly easier on staff and for our public notices and things for people, instead of waiting to see the agenda to see if there's an action item or not. If we know there's not an action item, then we wouldn't schedule a work session and we could simply post a notice of cancellation. So it's a one pager, it's easy to do, and then everyone knows that there's no meeting.
And then continue with a work session at 5:30 to fill the slot? Is that what we're talking? At the following. So still join work sessions with, if it's a cancellation, it's a cancellation for everything. Follow the work session at the earlier 5:30 slot.
Yeah, at the following regular meeting. That was kind of the question that I was getting to, and that's what I was hearing from at least a couple. It kind of makes the night a little cleaner for everyone, and it's clear that if there's no action item and we're canceling the regular meeting, then we wouldn't schedule a work session either. And it would just be, you'd get that evening back to yourselves and staff wouldn't generate additional materials for that meeting.
Okay. If it's easier on staff, I think that makes more sense. We'll just proceed with the cancellation ahead of time, once you know that there's no action items. That makes it easier for you. We don't have to waste time presenting a work session to a half-full audience. They're things we asked for, so I would at least like the majority of commissioners to be present for them.
I think that's fair.
Okay.
We can certainly do that.
Great.
I don't have any other communications.
Nothing
Thank
else.
you.
I have one last question. I'm sorry. These infill lots that you have listed under the inventory, are any of those not independently owned and maybe town-owned?
None of the lots on this list are town-owned lots. And we list them. I've actually debated that many times, whether we should actually have even we put just street names on here so we don't lose track of them. They're easy to identify when you drive through neighborhoods and see the missing holes where a house could be. But those are all in private ownership. None of them are town properties.
Okay. Anything else?
No, sir.
Beautiful. Adjourned.
Thank you.